Welcome to the BallStreet Social Club with me, Ped, because this one is all about Newcastle versus Liverpool. So Paul felt he had to hand the reins over to me.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
let's get into this game. Let's get into this. We normally do about 7 or 8 minutes on these videos.
Yeah.
I've just reserved a block book and about 30 minutes to break this one down.
Talk about this one.
I know you're a little bit ill, but
Yeah.
I'm sure once we've done, you will feel better.
Yeah.
So Newcastle beat Liverpool 2-0.
Yeah.
Something I predicted in the Beth Victor
Yeah.
predictions last week.
Yeah. Your bold prediction.
Bold prediction. I
bold.
went for it.
Yeah.
It was bold after Liverpool had beaten Southampton 6-1.
Yeah.
So what?
Technically it was before that, but that's fine. Carry on. Yeah, no, it was.
You're ruining the illusion.
It was. It was a shit show, mate. Yeah. I mean, I presume, did you just watch the game?
Yeah, yeah.
It was just one of the worst games of football I've ever seen in
Wasn't
general.
great, yeah.
I don't know what it was, you know, because
I don't think there was a shot on target until 35 minutes.
well, exactly. Liverpool had one shot on target in the whole game, one effort on target,
yeah,
a header from
yeah.
Lovren. The fact of the matter is, no, mate, you know, it was a bold prediction. It wasn't just a prediction. It wasn't just like, oh, I was, you know,
very bold
exactly,
prediction.
you know, because I think the common logic was like Liverpool are in good form, Newcastle are just dreadful.
Well, it was bold after Newcastle had come to Palace and lost 5-1 and were unbelievably bad.
Yeah.
The worst team at Selhurst.
Were you
by
shocked
some way.
then for them? I mean, we were all
A little bit,
shocked.
especially as he played.
how
He
bad they were
played
against
almost
Palace.
the same. He played the same back four. He changed one up front, so it was essentially the same team to play Palace. And they came to Selhurst and they were just an absolute mess. And yet Liverpool just didn't seem to capitalise on that. They didn't really go for it at all, and Newcastle weren't really that threatened. And then they, as happens, grew in confidence.
I just wonder whether you get those games sometimes, and I thought we'd see the back of them under the manager, but ultimately the guy is not a miracle worker, of players maybe they bought their own hype.
Well, I seen you saying that he picked the wrong side. I mean,
I think, well, with the wonderful gift of hindsight, you look at it and think, look, Daniel Sturridge is our good centre forward, and I know he's not been available for a long time. And he's played more football in the last week than he's played in 3 months. But they're the kind of games where I think you go in there, you get an early goal, you shut the crowd up, you kill them off because they've got no confidence. Bring Daniel Sturridge off, go goal up inside half an hour and bring him off after half an hour. I don't care. Not like, you know, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
He made a lot of changes, didn't he, from the
from
Southampton
the
game?
midweek, yeah, we
6
made
changes.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe it was disjointed as a result of that.
Well,
It was just weird.
well, what does that say about Liverpool's squad?
It's funny because it's like being bipolar. 1 week you're like, our squad is amazing. Look at the depth, look at the quality we've got throughout this squad. And then you go into that game and look at that team and think, yeah, that team's good. There's good players in there. And then when they don't perform, your temptation is to like throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, no, they're all shite because we couldn't beat Newcastle, etc., etc. Benteke is a good centre forward, wasn't used right. Firmino was dreadful, but he's a good player. I was 19 years old. You're going to get good games and bad games with him. And James Milner is what James Milner is. You know, he's a 7 out of 10 player.
I thought he was all right. He was one of the players I thought was decent actually yesterday.
He was fine, but you need in those games. If they played like the away side at home, you've got to be able to break teams like that down. And sometimes it takes moments of magic. And Milner's not a moment of magic kind of player.
Definitely not.
Is this what Liverpool are going to have to face then? Because no one's gonna from now on going to be as open as Southampton were on Wednesday night. No, everyone's going to come up and say, this is how we have to stop Liverpool playing, and everyone's going to do it. So it's going to flip, isn't it? Liverpool are going to have to start actually being creative to break teams down, and it's not. You're going to get the reverse of the City game where it was like, well, it was all about City. Liverpool went there and done a job. Chelsea as well. Liverpool are going to be the one who are now feared and are going to have to turn that around.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the key to success, though, is that you've got to find a way to be flat track bullies. You've got to find a way to beat the teams you're meant to be beating. And it's great that we found a way to beat the teams that we're not meant to beat, because ultimately they're the ones that stand out long in the memory. You don't remember unless you beat them like 5-0 or whatever. You tend not to remember wins over Newcastle and West Brom and all this kind of stuff. It is the ones where, you know, people will remember that City game as Liverpool fans for a while, the Chelsea game. But you need, and again, it's moments of magic. We haven't really had that since Suarez, the ability to just go, right, nothing's on, right, I'm just going to skin this guy and stick it in the top bin. It's daft, but, you know, they're the things you need, or you need a moment of luck, and we haven't found a way to do that just yet, which basically...
You've got Henderson's back, isn't he, or coming back?
Big one.
Like, he's really big for you guys. Definitely, I think you've missed him.
I'd also say with Klopp, you know, he's a new manager and he's implementing a lot of new stuff. The one big thing is the sort of high pressure. If you get to a game against a team they should be beating, you get 70 minutes in and it's still 0-0, whatever. It must be at this stage of his sort of reign there. It must be difficult to switch from Harry, like the high pressure, to composure once you've got the ball. I think that's something they need to they'll figure out as time goes on, because there's a real difference in that switch.
We've been able to be really bold in the substitutions. Like, again, City and Chelsea and the City game, we could have easily taken a centre-forward off and gone really defensive because we had the game pretty much sewn up, but we didn't. We made positive attacking substitutions. It keeps them on the back foot, it keeps them at bay. Whereas like the Newcastle game, we went a goal behind and it was like, shit. Because your game plan's gone out the window then, you know, then all the space that Newcastle had left for us to exploit, which we didn't, vanished because they then didn't need to push any further forward and stuff, and then a team that's already struggling to break them down.
Unlucky with the Moreno thing, though.
You did score, though.
You did a legitimate goal as well.
You say
he was,
and that changes the context of the game completely.
That was a 1-0.
That was a great goal. It was a superb goal. No, it was a superb goal. And it was funny when the Newcastle players were like, well, we stopped. It's like, no, it was a great goal. I mean, it was a cross, but it was a great goal.
It
would have been a really good goal. And I suppose it's things like that. One thing I would say is, like, you know, you look at like you've just mentioned there, what Klopp's done so far. It feels like the evolution of this team is far more advanced than anyone would have thought it would have been. And it's almost like now getting to the next stage where, because it's mad. It sounds stupid, but we had this under David Moyes. We played a certain style, and then we tried to kick on to the next style. And when we tried to kick on, we just didn't have anything about us that could break teams like Wigan coming down to Goodison and putting 11 men behind the ball. We just couldn't do it. And then when Martinez come in, we could, but then we couldn't defend, and we still can't defend.
Yeah.
You'll see that tonight. We still can't defend, and it's just about marrying those two things, and that's... When you do get those two things, that's when you get a very successful team.
But he's done pretty well so far.
No, that's
it's
what I'm
so
saying.
quick. Yeah, you're right. You're completely right.
He's got to the first stage of it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And that stage could have took the whole of the season. So I think these things will happen more frequently, as far as I'm concerned, hopefully. You know, but I think you've got to the first stage very, very quickly, and now it's about learning the next stage. Yeah. So I think he's done really well so far.
And the best thing about it all is that when the performance is not good enough, he gets into a press conference and says it was shit.
Exactly. Yeah, he's great.
Well, that was the other thing, wasn't it?
He
said before this game that Liverpool had gone behind in 3 games, and if it happened again, things will start to change. So it'll be interesting to see whether things do change. So that'll be a big one for me, whether he goes looking for new players in January or he looks to change the back. I know he said he was happy with the goalie, but he must be mental if he's happy with the goalie.
Must be genuinely mental.
That would be like an Everton fan being happy with Tim Howard. So
there we go. There's your obligatory Tim Howard reference for
all 3 cameras caught that. Bullet time, Tim Howard hatred.
Thing about Klopp though, it must be difficult when they lose a game to find, for like the match report, a photo of him looking sad. I think there are genuinely 0 photos of him looking sad.
Yeah. When
he's smiling in every
McClaren's
photo.
hand at the end of the game, he had a massive... he was laughing.
You lost 2-0, mate.
To be fair to Klopp, though, he does think the league shuts down now for 2 months and he can go on the L with all of his players. No one's actually told him that there's no break for
I love that. There's one of the McClaren thing where he's like, oh, how have you beat me here? Oh, good on you, you little baldy scum.
To be fair, though, I would rather have been beaten by Newcastle than be beaten by one of the top sides. Because I feel like if you get beat by one of the top sides, it almost feels like, well, we've been outdone there.
Yeah.
When you get beat by a team like Newcastle, when you're on a run like Liverpool, you can sort of put it down to one of those things.
Well, it's one of them. I mean, he says himself that he's not even asked about the second goal because when you push your men forward, you'd always concede them. It goes one way or the other, doesn't it? But like, we didn't deserve to win that by any stretch, but they scored scored an own goal. We had a goal disallowed. If it ends 0-0, you're like, that was the most 0-0 game I've seen in my life.
But again, there are those moments of bad luck as well, because that Moreno, if that's a goal, as a QPR fan who got relegated last year, if you let in that goal at home, you start to completely panic, and the second goal would have come.
Yeah.
It would have.
No,
So,
absolutely. So there you go. That's not made me feel any better in any way, shape or form. But let us know your thoughts on it, Liverpool, and how they bounce back from that defeat in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up as well. Do stay tuned on the Social Club. We're going to be discussing champions-elect Leicester City up next, as well as Chelsea's relegation hopes as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. Ta-ra.